I feel like this is one of the most important healing modalities, especially for highly sensitive persons, that is often neglected in modern day medicine and even in mental health therapies. And yet I feel it is so integral in healing from a chronic health condition. Blessings. This is Brenda Carey, and I'm a holistic healer for highly sensitive souls. And my intention for this channel is to share wisdom and insights that I've learned from my own healing journeys so that you can awaken your own inner healer. And I love to share about the variety of healing modalities that seem to work for a while, at least for myself, and also for my clients and from people who have shared in the comments, but yet seem to come up a little short. And the modalities that were mainly mentioned are either the physical side, which would be like physical therapy or changes in nutrition, or even like the mental health therapies, like traditional talk therapy. And yet, as a highly sensitive person, we are designed to deeply process the wholeness of our being. So that includes body, mind, and spirit. And I think this is the missing piece for many of us, that having a creative practice that gets in touch with our personal spirit can really help us shift into a higher vibrational state, which we need for healing. Because here's what I know for sure, is that healing only happens in the now. It doesn't happen when we're future tripping and planning out what we're going to do. Definitely doesn't happen when we're lamenting or ruminating about the past. Healing happens in the now. And the most, I think, enjoyable way to do that is through a creative practice. Now, stick with me till the end because there are two barriers that I want to address that almost always happen for most people, and I'm going to share that at the end. But first, let's have a conversation around a creative practice. What does that mean? Now, notice I didn't say artistic, although it could be. Like, you could really love painting or drawing or anything involving music, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I think all of us are creative. Absolutely. I don't argue with that at all. Not all of us may not necessarily be artistic, but creativity could look very different. The idea is that this activity puts you in what's referred to often as a flow state. To me, a flow state feels like a state of timelessness, or where even like time stands still. Maybe it almost feels like it doesn't exist. And so I would encourage you to think about what creative practice could you do that really lights you up and gets you kind of excited. For me personally, I'm a very auditory, highly sensitive person. And so sound and music are an integral part of my healing. And I personally think it is just as serious of a practice as anything that I do for my body and my mind. And in fact, I think it actually enhances any other healing modalities for my body and mind that I may be doing at the time. And creative practices can fluctuate. You may do them for a certain period of time, and then they may change. But the idea is it allows you to be fully present. And it does not, please remember this, it does not rely on a specific end product or result. So for example, I have a client and she loves to bake, and she almost always bakes like with a recipe. But instead, to get her in the flow state, because she is a highly sensitive that's very in tune with touch and smell, she combined different ingredients that kept her in the present moment and just concocted her own recipe. I'm not sure if it tasted really well, but again, it's not about the end product. It's about just being in the present and enjoying that moment. So, what is it for you that you would like to do that gets you in this creative space? and maybe it's something you haven't done in a long, long time. Now, I promise the 2 barriers, because this almost always comes up, so please listen. The first thing that usually comes up is we don't give ourselves permission to actually do it. We think of it as like a luxury, or like when I have time, I'll, fill in the blank. But if you treated it as a serious practice, as just as important as your nutrition, just as important as any physical movement, how would you, this is the key, schedule it in your calendar? Now, I know that doesn't sound very glamorous, but I think it's really important, because if you're anything like me, I would get to the end of the day or the end of the week when I hadn't scheduled it in and realize either I completely forgot or, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and it just doesn't happen. But if I schedule it in and make a point of it in my digital calendar and in my paper calendar, almost always, unless there's an emergency, it happens. And I love the process of being in that creative flow state. Now, the other barrier which often comes up is we often think that we need to create a big chunk of time for this to happen, like hours. But that may not be realistic for your life right now. And when my kids were little, it was literally just a few minutes a day. And so I would have my music ready and my drum, because I also love to drum, and it would just be for a few minutes in the morning. And it would get me into that timeless state and into the now moment where healing happens. So I hope this is an encouragement to you to start to creatively think what healing modality for your spiritual health that you would like to do. And if you'd like to share it in the comments, I think it would help inspire other people. Please do that, and I would love to encourage you on. And as always, if this video resonates with you, please give it a like, share it with someone that you think would benefit from it. And as always, blessings, so many blessings on your creative healing journey.